Happy New Year's Eve. I hope that all of you are enjoying the information that has been provided in the class so far. I want to warn you, today there are a number of items for you to go through, but none of them are very long and several are videos, so it shouldn't be too daunting for any of you. The first item is an article that outlines a number of different sexual minority identity development models. As you will see, the big differences that exist within the models are the fact that some, like Cass's model, are stage models, while others are lifespan models, such as Dia Jelly. As we move through the class, we'll talk later about your feelings of which model better reflects a person's development. But for now, I just want you to become familiar with the models and what the authors have to say in regard to how the models are applied to sexual minorities of color. The next article explores the identity development process that some transgender people have gone through. I don't know that you necessarily need to read every word of this article, but I encourage you to read the stories of the study's participants. Look at similarities, differences among the participants, and then apply what you read about them to what you read in the first article, where the comparisons lie. What is similar, what is different? What do you think, what makes sense to you as we explore these individuals, as we explore sexual minorities? What are you starting to see as we think about the stories that you heard and that you maybe read in I Am from Driftwood, when we looked at the history and heard people talk about what life used to be like and how it's improved and what the differences are. So we're starting to try and put what we know together to be able to better understand the intersectionalities that exist, how they impact each other, and what that looks like, particularly for sexual minorities of color. This short video of Augustine Burroughs is interesting. In Augustine's case, he never questioned his sexual orientation, nor did he ever experience someone telling him it was wrong. I include this video because I think that while Augustine's upbringing is truly an anomaly, you'll figure out what I'm talking about. It still begs the question of how would identity development models change if every child was raised in an environment that encouraged them to explore their sexuality and there was support for wherever that exploration took them. I hope you enjoy it. Like I said, it's a pretty short one. As the videos that we're seeing aren't going to be tremendously long. So take the time and watch it. In this video, Thomas Lloyd not only shares his coming out story and how he developed his sexual minority identity, but he also chronicles many of the changes that have occurred in Georgetown University because of he and other sexual minorities who have fought to gain acceptance within the university. Again, in this brief video, Jared Barrios, who at one point was the GLAAD president, talks about his coming out story, and he also talks about how being a minority impacted his identity as a gay man and the connections that he felt between those two things. In this article isn't very extremely long, but the important part that I want you to read are the findings of the research. And read the stories of the students who were research subjects. Think about what kind of identity development steps occurred in their life. How did intersectionality impact their development? Start looking at some of the identity development pieces that we've learned in our previous readings and apply it to what you read about in this story and in this article, and how do those mesh? How do those make sense together? So that's really what you're looking at here. Like I said, it's not a very long article. You can certainly, but you certainly should be able to read the whole thing. But at the very least, I want you to read about the people, read about the stories, read about who they are, and how they came to be able to understand their own sexual orientation. Okay, the last two items that we have for today. The first one is Theories of LGBT Development. It's from UNCC, and it's just a web page. It gives a very brief description of the various identity development theories. It's just kind of a compacted piece. And so that's why I threw that in there. So just take a look at it. It's really not going to tell you anything different than any of the other articles. It just, if you're struggling to have any kind of understanding, it's more succinct. The final thing is religio-spirituality and the coming out process. So this is a dissertation that was written by a K-State student. Her name is Camilla Jones. And the reason that I want you to read this is, and in no way am I saying read the entire 200 pages of her dissertation. I want you to read only pages 41 through 44. So starting with Fowler's theories and then ending on page 44. So stop when you get to spiritual religious conceptualization. So what I'm wanting you to get out of those 3 pages, and they're double spaced. So again, I know at this point you might be like, gosh, this is a lot for today. And I know it is. And so I appreciate you all hanging in there with me. But again, we're just trying to get all this basis in so we can really start looking at people, looking at how this impacts people and what we can do to help that. So read those, because she, in those pages, she writes about 2 different religious and spirituality development theories. And so I think it's important when we start talking about religion that when we apply this to the identity development theories that exist for sexual minorities, how does that impact that? And I will definitely talk more about that. I know I did my master's report on that, looked at exactly that. It looked at how do individuals who are Christian and who believe that they are a sexual minority, how does their identity develop? What's the process? How do these 2 identities develop together? Or do they? And so we can talk more about that. The last thing that I want to make you aware of is, so then you should start writing your first response paper. If you look in the syllabus, if you look at the article or at the assignment itself, if you look at the day 4 page summary page, all of them tell you what to do. You need to write about information from the 28th, 29th, 30th, and 31st. Each paper, you can read typewritten, blah, blah, blah. This is where I also mentioned that, if you can kind of show me that what you had to say took up 3 pages, do a video of it. I'm fine with that. And this is going to be due on Monday the 4th by 11:59 p.m. So you have all day on the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th to complete this. Once you get them turned in, I'm going to do my best to get these turned around so that you have them back by the 5th or so that way you have a pretty good understanding of how I'm going to grade. And then we'll keep moving along. So again, if you have questions, if you just aren't sure what's going on, if you are wanting more information on how are we going to progress, give me a shout. I'm happy to talk about that. But I hope that we all have a safe New Year's, and you know, we all have something to look forward to in 2021. So, Happy New Year.